Film is an incredible art form. The amount of effort, sheer talent and work put into making a good movie is insane. They're a fantastic way of portraying a story to make the audience really feel something and connect to it. Film can portray an idea or some form of commentary without explicitly saying it. Film can also be the rise of some amazing people behind the production, and it truly emanates the talent of who or what it is presenting. YouTuber movies take everything that I've just mentioned, throw it in the bin and replace it with the popular YouTuber. Nothing else, just the popular YouTuber exists and it's a movie, I guess. Alright, that was a bit of a harsh start. In the corporate landscape that Hollywood is nowadays, shelling out the most egregious films, they've been losing their real sense of story and, in a way, is getting pretty bad. It's not quite fair to say that YouTuber movies are the worst kind of movie, because frankly you can get much worse, but they just aren't the best. They always seem to be bound to fail from the get-go and end up not even breaking their own budget. Now, why is that the case? Well, like any uncomfortably positive kids show, let's look into why. Alright, how's it going lads? Welcome to a video that encapsulates the definition of sheer mediocrity into one small place. Now, I'm a big fan of YouTube drama. It's something that I just love talking about. Wherever you go, you'll probably find me giving my opinion on some form of controversy. But there is something else I like talking about, and that is film. So I thought, naturally, I would take a bit of a step back from the norm and make a video combining my two favourite topics to talk about. Now, ever since I was a young wit, I wanted to make a movie. I've always dreamt to be the starring as a voice actor, writing, directing, or even producing some form of film in the future. Though considering how long it takes me to finish a 30-minute video script, I doubt that's going to happen anytime soon. Excluding that underlying problem, I think my main limiting factor for making my own movie would firstly be money, something a lot of YouTubers have, but secondly that I don't think I have the talents to make my own high production movie. But you know what? Some other people on the platform definitely do. Some YouTubers make incredible freely available short films or even just skits. You know what? I would even say that Gokunara's Video Vigilante Part 2 specifically has some amazing moments. But you see, the thing with professional productions is that they don't have the pleasing aura to them that a YouTube production might. When a movie is considered to be, well, you know, a movie, it makes it rightfully subject to the similar standards that an ordinary film would be. They lose the ability to push mistakes or bad jokes to the side like you can with a YouTube movie. Now let's be honest, YouTuber movies are not good. That isn't a controversial thing to say, I don't think. It's quite a popular topic for creators to pick on when they haven't been exploding talking about Jeffree Star's latest scandal. Now, in all honesty, I do feel bad picking on another person's work so harshly because, frankly, somebody put a lot of effort into these. No matter the film, somebody, somewhere, feels passionate about what they created, as difficult as that could be to comprehend. I would like to remind everyone watching that this is me talking about the art, not the artist, blah blah blah. Anyway, back to the topic. People put a lot of effort into these films, however, not the YouTubers themselves. I hate to say this, but unless a YouTuber is offered a place in something they're genuinely a fan of, it's most likely a cash grab. I have no problem with people making money from this sort of thing. It's obviously not morally questionable or anything, let me be clear here. The thing is, these films are just never a success monetarily or in terms of enjoyment because it's from a YouTuber, innit? It just feels so disingenuous when the creator had this one opportunity in their life to make some kind of amazing film that you might imagine when you were a child. If you were offered a role to produce a movie, your 10-year-old self will be jumping for joy. But no, instead we got masterpieces such as F the Prom and Aeroplane Mode. And my personal favourite, Gummy Bear, the Yummy Gummy Search for Santa. Yes, this is a real movie. I think the most telling thing about this movie is that I Hate Everything's review of it is the first thing to come up on Google. Now you might have noticed in a film title like F the Prom or Laid in America, you might recognise a pretty odd pattern. You see, these kinds of films are always so unnecessarily outrageous with their themes and ideas because, to put it simply, you can't be like that on YouTube. You can actually swear in these movies and there won't be a dolphin sound effect over it. Whoa! That's what it feels like, at least, you know? I reckon the rather disconnected feel a YouTuber has in making these is also rather disturbing, if you can be disturbed by the production of a movie. When you're famous and rich, I hate to say it, but your lifestyle forces you to think of two things. Money being the former, and you know exactly what the latter is. So automatically a lot of these films aren't a genuine story that the creator wants to tell, because they don't have much to tell, which is a shame. You know, I think in a movie like F the Prom, as much as it may have been a cheaply executed film in terms of production value, and is only just slightly less funny than me, it came from a place of actually being fascinated by and wanting to make movies. This movie was actually not even acted out by the YouTuber, but instead written and directed by one. It's clearly somewhat of a passion project. The other movies, however, always feel like they're a quick shill to profit off of the success of YouTubers, as they do with every other celebrity, I guess, which is the problem for me though, innit? You see, YouTubers, unlike actors, are not exactly very good at, you know, acting. Very few YouTubers get the chance to star in a movie because not every YouTuber is given that opportunity, but the YouTubers that are not the most amazing usually. You can always spot who in a scene is a YouTuber cameo and who is the real actor. Face it, the most popular YouTubers are not going to be the best ones at acting because they're used to just shouting, riding a jet ski in their pools, and exposing their friends for domestic violence, depending on what content they create, of course. Usually YouTubers become a certain gargantuan size because their fan base is just children, which generally means one thing: they like shouting, because to kids, loud equals funny. There's a whole lot of noise in these movies, my goodness. Whoa man, could you please be a little bit quieter, mate? Also, on the topic of the audience being children, what confused me is exactly who these films are made for. Because a movie like Aeroplane Mode, for example, is made by Logan Paul, and it also features a dabbing plane on the poster. Exhilarating. That Logan man claims to have a more mature audience, yes, hence the age rating I suppose. But with all this screaming in the movie, why would anybody over the age of 12 watch this unless they're making a video about bad YouTuber movies? Why yes, hello there, I'm breaking the fourth wall. Then again, there are so many strong themes in these movies that you can't tell who the target audience is meant to be. The general consensus of these films are not even things that children would watch. Not with their parents around anyway. That whole debacle could be a contributing factor as to why these films are not successful, right? I don't know why, but these films are always quite offensive, you know? I don't mean this movie is bad kind of offensive. I mean, it's on my videos kind of level of unfunny and offensive. They all seem to love having jokes about racial stereotypes or jokes about some other kind of triggering thing. Probably the worst culprit of this is Shane Dawson's movie Not Cool. The title sums up my opinions on the movie quite well. In the film, it features several pointlessly offensive moments. Having a homeless person eat their own excretion. They make fun of blind people several times. They make fun of an Indian man for no reason. I guess I'm not one to judge a person's sense of humour, as I have said before, especially not as a snowy white male blob that I am, but I think it just feels so out of place in what would normally look like a straight to CBBC kind of movie. It's offensive for the purpose of it being offensive, innit? Which is basically all of Shane Dawson's old content anyway. I hate thinking of people's reaction when I overanalyze comedy, but there's just no other substance to the joke. In addition to this, you can't excuse these as just a YouTuber making the joke, as all of the films were not just made by one person. The YouTuber isn't necessarily to blame for all of these offensive mishaps or whatever. These films are a collection of people coming together and agreeing that this kind of humour is acceptable for the likes of a feature film. I'm not implying that we should use these things to cancel Shane Dawson because of what he says in the movie. I'm just showing you that normally this kind of thing isn't placed in a movie.
Actually, funny enough, off-script side note, that horrible homeless person joke in Not Cool was originally going to be removed because it was stopping people from auditioning, but apparently Shane Dawson forced it to be, and so...
Also, a lot of the YouTubers that have made these kinds of movies have managed to do a substantial job at cancelling themselves anyway, innit?
And that, from the bottom of my heart, I am sorry.
That kind of moves into my next point. The fact that YouTubers are not really taken seriously. While, like I said, there are certainly some phenomenal pieces of film, music and art on YouTube, these attempts at moving into the mainstream leave a terrible mark on their view of YouTube as a platform. To put it this way, you're more likely to remember something you don't like. That's part of human nature. Hence why a lot of the time people just have some form of criticism towards something no matter what it is. And people naturally base assumptions off of certain people judging judging by their limited experience of a portion of said group. Like how many younger folks see elderly people as boring losers that don't understand technology, for example. In a similar way, the mainstream sees YouTubers that way because there aren't many mainstream celebrities on YouTube. Alright, let's look at music, for example. You, and subsequently anybody else, are more likely to remember something like It's Everyday Bro over, say, anything else you might have heard on YouTube music-wise. That's the view that I, and maybe you for that matter, have of YouTube music, whereas I certainly know that there is some stuff on there that is so much better. Similarly with how these mediocre at best movies will be remembered most by the media because not only are these films not great, there just isn't much else YouTubers have to show for themselves outside of YouTube itself. In a similar way, the actual production of these films is not the best, because of the fact that they just aren't given enough of a budget. Why? Because film companies probably don't have enough trust in the script or just the people in general making the film. I mean, they make daily 10-minute videos about what they're up to in their $5 million mansion, for goodness sake. Anybody can do that. Any director could just pick up a camera and do that. Or at least they think they can. I'm not denying that daily videos don't take quite a lot of effort, alright? Often major film companies like Disney rely on extremely well-renowned directors and actors because they're famous for being good at their craft, therefore are less likely to make a bad movie, because these people have a good reputation. The only reputation a YouTuber like the Fine Brothers would have is that they can get a group of children to react to Little Pump. Obviously, the Fine Brothers are in fact fine at what they do, but there isn't exactly much directing, writing, or even camera work that they do. It's practically all just...
What is up, everyone?
The camera stays still, most of the YouTubers don't even write their own music, and they don't even direct more than just a surface level 5 to 10 minute sketch most of the time. That's also where experience comes in. Many of said movies are the creators' first shot at making a film, or at least one of their first. As I said, these creators are used to being this extremely crazy person in front of a tripod as opposed to actually attempting to portray emotion in front of one. It's difficult to make the audience like your character because it's not the real creator's thoughts. You'll see them on the screen and you'll know that they're acting because they're a YouTuber. The move from YouTube into film is quite a jump unless you know what you're doing with it. This is where I somehow give Fred the movie some credit. Fred, while not being the most well-made movie, is fun to watch for a number of reasons. For one, it's one of those movies you can watch and enjoy because it's not very good, but more importantly because it stays true to the original Fred character. Fred was originally meant to be this really young, annoying, high-pitched character getting into some stupid antics, and that's how he was portrayed in the movie. Some silly child with an annoying voice getting into crazy antics such as stalking his girlfriend? No matter how absurd or strange you think this might be, that's the point. Fred is portrayed by the movie to be some messed up character doing silly things because he isn't the brightest. The film wasn't the most well executed, but I mean, it's Fred the movie. What are you even asking for, mate? You can't exactly expect much from a film often written or directed by the same person that also plays the main character either. There is just so much pressure put on this person working on the project due to how much responsibility is placed on them for their first film. I think I need to make it as clear as possible that if these films are bad, it isn't necessarily the YouTuber's fault because it's almost bound to fail no matter how good the production of the film is. Because they're YouTubers. You know, it's that simple. I mentioned this earlier. When you see or hear a YouTuber in a movie, you see or hear the YouTuber, not the character. Again, I give Fred the movie credit because they took the actual YouTube caricature and expanded on it. In Not Cool, however, they made Shane Dawson be the lonely cool guy that ends up getting called attractive several times. Even if the latter is concerningly true, the former definitely isn't. But when you watch the movie, you see Shane Dawson. I can't even remember the character's name, I just remember Shane Dawson. In Hunt Down the Freeman as well, while it is a video game, you still don't hear some friendly general character. You hear Colossal is crazy and you realise how out of character it is for him not to be so cynical towards the person he's talking to.
Tell me, who is in charge of
You could buy a pig for $30!
But that also seems to be part of the problem. These are YouTubers, and as sad as it may seem, no YouTuber trend or even genre stays popular and running for very long. Especially with how things like meme culture work. People move on from something extremely quickly on the internet and things just don't age well. And since films about YouTubers or including YouTubers just have so many references to pop culture, they won't last very long in the audience's eyes. I mean, the Gummy Bear movie was quite literally an entire film revolving around a song that got far too many views. Friend the movie was made in much less time than it should have been because YouTube is unpredictable and the channel or idea could drift away in a few days or even overnight. That's how all of these seem to have worked as well, quite rushed with low budgets because mainstream film has little to no experience with YouTubers making movies, innit? And unfortunately this can be shown in how little money the films make. Hardly any of them make enough money for the budget itself. Some of them are getting full re-uploads on YouTube with little consequence. Videos criticizing the films sometimes get more viewers than the films themselves. People even sometimes forget that the YouTuber even made a movie in the first place after about 2 months. I would like to just make things clear here again. Not all movies, sketches or short films including YouTubers are bad. They aren't the best most of the time, but that's what makes them charming in their own way. There is some beauty in the things not being perfect because you can connect with the people that made these things and you can see the effort they put into what they created. There's a personality behind the product. This is why I personally love companies like Aardman, because you can tell that somebody in that company put all the effort they could into making the films they produce. You can visibly see the hours of effort in the movie. Similarly, in low quality produced YouTube shorts, movies or series, you can really see the fun and excitement they had in what they were making. That's not to say that YouTubers have not had fun making their movies, but there's no sincerity or fun behind it, I guess. These are just big business minded YouTubers moving into a higher mainstream avenue and therefore higher standards are automatically set. Fun, corny, unintentional humour doesn't work the same kind of way as it would in the awkwardness of Minecraft story mode. It might be a little bit cringe, but that's part of the beauty of it. It's a group of shy Minecraft YouTubers placed in a recording studio with a bunch of words to say. That's the beauty of it. You can connect with these people. But when a YouTuber is so pushy to create a big blockbuster movie, it just won't gain the respect from the industry because it's not the kind of standard they're looking for, and won't gain respect from their own viewers because it doesn't have the connection or appeal one of their own videos would. And that's why YouTuber movies never have been, and never could be, as successful as people wish.